Doesn't matter, right? I can go ahead and start
I
talking.
see it now. I see it now.
Our red box, our red box. Okay, we've got it. Oh, got a great book tonight, guys. Got a
Yes.
great book, and we've had a chance to meet the author a little bit, chat for a little bit. So I'm looking forward to our listeners and viewers being able to hear her story tonight and in her own words, because she said she was going to read some stuff to us. So that's it. That's always good. That's always good. We've got our line up tonight. Ruth, you're going to be first with a
Yep.
weekend review. And I think I'm just going to sit in your weekend review. I can't wait. I can't wait.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness. Great news, great news, great news. I had a little bit of great news too, so I got something to share today that's good. Good for me
No
anyway.
good news.
Yeah, that's all it has to be.
You have to have good news. I have to.
Yeah, it's good to do that. Good to do that. So we've got a lot going on. Have had a lot going on, but
Yes.
I am glad to say that all is well. All is moving.
Amen.
We've had some great guests on this last quarter. We really have. So I'm thankful for that, and all of them have great projects and stuff that we can share with our audience, and I'm grateful for that as well.
Let's
So
go.
I think we are ready to get started. Alan, if you are there, we are ready to go.
Alan has left the building.
Roll 'em.
Well, bring Alan back in. Hit that button, and we're ready
All
to
right,
go.
there goes our.
Did it, did it, did it.
Have a good one.
Thank you, Alan.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Authors Up, our favorite place to be on Sunday evenings at 7 p.m.
Yep.
And I say
Absolutely.
good evening to two beautiful ladies that come on every week. Ruth Griffin and
Thank you.
Victoria Henderson.
And
Evening.
Andrea Hines.
How are
Yes.
you doing? How you doing? How you doing?
We're good. We're good. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. I'm good. I am better now.
Okay.
All right now.
There's nothing better than celebrating everybody else's blessing.
Amen.
I love being in a place
Amen. There's a cheek hurt night tonight.
yeah, we can celebrate everybody else's good news, and I am excited to be able to do that. We thank everybody who comes in and joins us on Sunday evenings, and we thank the authors that join us, all of them. We always say that nobody can tell the story like the person who wrote the book. So we
Yep.
we
That's right.
have that opportunity again tonight as we welcome our guest for the evening, but we're going to bring her on shortly. Hey there, Linda Cooks. Good evening to you. Glad to have you in the house this evening. We're going to let our guest share with us in a few minutes, but we're going to start as we usually do with our weekend review. And Ruth is up first. And I'm not going to smile. I'm
Okay, we gonna try not to.
Can't
cry.
help but smile. You can't help
trying
but
to
smile.
just
So,
be very,
yeah.
very serious. Miss Ruth, what do you have to share with us this evening?
Okay, so I got some really good news this week. It started off with what I thought was a spam email that said my student loans were forgiven, and I was like, I don't think so. So I actually checked my account, and it was down to 0. So
Wait, don't
You you went by that real fast. I don't think everybody heard
gloss
what you
over.
said.
You can't gloss over that.
Student
Go back and let's
loan.
piece this out. Let everybody know what happened. Do it again.
I got an email stating that my student loan had been forgiven. And of course, in this day and age, you just can't go woo every time you get an email. So of course I had to check it out. And that's when I logged into my account and it was zero. Now I went to school 30 years ago. What I have been paying on has been mostly interest. So it more than doubled what I
You're
owed.
right.
So I of course applied for the loan forgiveness when the current administration put it out. And of course, then they
Right.
were like, no, we're not doing that. And they're like, okay, you work for government, so you can do this. And I'm like, no, I still got 8 years to go. None of that. They wiped it completely out. So yes, that was that I've just been riding that all week. So yes.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
I tell you what, Ruth, that is, you talk about a praise report. That- you don't even have to give us a weekend review. We'll just ride on that one.
From zillions to zero. We'll take it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And I think I had shared with you, you were probably the third person that I know of and that we know that has had their student loan debt forgiven, and it has been a lot.
I don't know anybody. So this is the first time I know somebody personally. So I'm excited.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes.
Oh, and I claim it. I'm next.
We'll stand in agreement with you, lady. That has got to be just a huge weight.
Oh God. Forgiven. Yes. My.
For that to be lifted off of you, that is definitely good.
Yes.
Yes.
It was such a good feeling. So
Awesome.
You.
Mhm.
Congratulations.
thank you.
Yeah.
So Andrea, how was your week?
My week was good. Not that good, but it was good. And I shouldn't say that because it actually was. It was a great week. I got some things done that I needed to get done. I got set up to do something with my other show on Thursday night. I'm actually going to have the leadership team from the Well Church here in North Carolina, and they have been using my little book, The Mask, for their Bible study.
Oh wow.
So this is going to kind of be a live book review.
Oh, suck it down.
So I haven't done anything like this before with this many people involved. It's 7 of them.
Yeah.
And so they're all going to participate. We did a little trial on Saturday, make sure everybody's mic was right and light was right and all of that good stuff. So they're excited about it, and I'm excited about it as well. I think I may have shared last week that I had these crazy doctor things going on. Well, I had my visit with the neurosurgeon on Thursday, this past Thursday. Hey, thumbs up for me. I don't know how he's feeling, but I'm good. I know what my plan is. I know Joanne can probably identify with some of that, but I know what my plan is going to be, and it's all good. And I have one more to do, and I will do that one next week. And I believe God's got me, and all will be well. And I feel good about all of that. So we shall see what happened. I was very compliant to a point. As you all know how I am. But
that's why I'm looking at going,
at one point I had to laugh. Though at one point the doctor was sitting there and he was shaking his leg, and I thought, "What are you nervous about? What is wrong with you? Settle down, fella. It's gonna be all right." So I was glad that I did it, and glad that I got that part over with. And my family is very glad that I went, and God's got me and all as well. So I'll keep you updated next week. I'll let you know what the final is on the other appointment. And that's going
Okay.
to be good news too.
Yes.
All right, we
That
believe
we
it.
know.
We
That we
believe
know.
God for it. We believe for it.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So, Victoria, what's been on your plate? What's been happening?
Well, I just thank God for peace. I thank Him once again for peace in the midst of some storms. My mom fell last week and was in the hospital most of the week. And we just thank God for healing, for supernatural healing at that. She was in so much pain. And, I'll tell you briefly, she was in a lot of pain. And she was in the room with somebody, and she said she heard sit up. And she asked the person, did you hear that? And they said, no, looking at her like, she's elderly, she hearing stuff. And she also said she saw somebody in the room. And then she said she heard it again, sit up. And she said, okay. She sat up and there was no pain.
Hallelujah.
No pain.
Hallelujah.
And she was showing me. She kept sitting up, and I said, "Ma, stop now! Stop. You're making me a little nervous." But she had no pain, and her blood pressure dipped in and up and down a little bit, and so they kept her one more day. But she's now home. We were able to get care for her 24/7, so she was able to go to her own home instead of rehab or anything. So I'm just grateful, and it was a little unnerving. But God gave me peace. I asked Him for that. No matter what happened at work, things, going crazy at work, but just the peace that passes all understanding. Now, knowing that He's got us, got me through. So that was my week, and I just thank God.
All right. All right. Well, now you've got something else to talk about and tell us about, and that's about our guest.
Yes, we're excited to bring our guest, and her name is Joanne Green. Our bio states that Joanne Green never bought the adage, little girls should be seen and not heard. She's used her voice on San Francisco radio and television, webinars, and podcasts to explore the issues of our time with playful irreverence, candor, and compassion. Now, with many decades of seasoning, she's sharing what she's learned about navigating family and career, moving through pain and loss. Currently, Joanne hosts a podcast, In This Story, where she shares micro essays set to music, showcasing tales and observation from her animated life. She Writes Press has published her first book, named By Accident, a memoir of letting go, in which Joanne emerges from threatening calamities with a big fat smile and a heap of hope. We're so excited. Well, we're going to pause for a break right here. And when we return, you'll get to meet author Joanne Green. Be right back.
Hi, Joanne.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. You guys are so much fun.
Oh, good. Thank you. We are so happy that you're able to join us today. I mean, look, I have to say, I started your book and you just like jumped right in. It was a ride all the way through. I mean, when your bio states that you went through it with a big fat smile and a heap of hope, it is not wrong. So, we are going
Thank you.
Welcome.
I know, spoiler alert, I survived.
Right? And we're glad you did.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
We're gonna start with your book, and I want you to tell us what it's about. Tell us what it is.
What it's about is I was a person in constant motion. I was a person who couldn't do enough, whatever it was. And if I had a job and the job description was this, I would add 12 more things to the job description. I also, working full time and being very devoted to my family. I also had to do volunteer work because, of course, right. It was just never enough. And I would go. I had 2 settings, on and off. I would not start to feel tired and then, no, I would go until like a 3-year-old, I would like crash and start to cry or something. And I would go, oh, maybe I'm tired. Maybe that's what this is. And, went along that way for many, many years. And as the story begins, I'm literally crossing the street in front of my place where I worked, which was a Jewish community center, and my synagogue, which share a campus.
Mhm.
I was on my way home to see Barack Obama debate Mitt Romney, right? So this is 2012. I was a big Obama supporter. I had to get home in time to see this, and a car stopped for me. I walked into the crosswalk, and just as I got in front of the car, I heard what sounded like an explosion, because, ordinarily with car accidents, you're used to hearing the screech of brakes and then the crash. There was no screech of brakes because this truck came at full speed, smashed into that car, and suddenly I was airborne, thrown onto the hood of her car, and she was catapulted 50 feet down the street with me on the hood, my head banging on her windshield, and then I fell off onto the street.
Wow.
So I was alive. And something rather miraculous happened at that moment. I was coming off of a period of time where I had lost my mother, my sister, and my brother in a 4-year period. And I had been in the absolute depths of grief. I was very, very close with my mother and sister in particular. They were kind of my right and left hand. And it was a tough period of time leading up to that illness. You're taking care of your mom, Victoria, it's one thing after another, right? And the phone rings and you're sure it's going to be someone, right? Someone calling to tell you. And we drop everything and we run because that's what we do as daughters. And so as I realized that I was actually being hit by a car, imagine this, my entire self silently screaming to God or to the universe or to I don't know who, really? Like really? Now I'm being hit by a car. And a second later, something kicked in and I felt myself say, okay, let's do this.
Wow.
I don't know where I drew that strength from, but it absolutely helped me get through. It became a mantra. I can do this. I can do this. And, I've been at a lot of low points in my life. Who hasn't? And, we draw upon the strength, I think, of our ancestors too. I am the granddaughter of immigrants who left, where they were in Europe and didn't speak the language and came here just hoping that it would be a place where they wouldn't be persecuted and where they could make a living and get their kids educated. That was really the goal always. And so I think I drew upon some of that, being a survivor, but it wasn't easy because for the first time in my life, I could control nothing. I mean, nothing. And I had been a control freak, I have to admit.
Yeah.
Right.
What is that? I am a recovering control freak. Hi, my name is Joanne. And so I had to learn to trust others. I had to learn to ask for help. I had to learn to be still. I didn't know how to do that. I did not know how to stay in one place and stare at a tree, but I had no choice. I couldn't move. So it was a long recovery and I learned some lessons. And then the book follows the next couple years where life threw me a few more curveballs and I had the opportunity to practice what I had learned. And eventually I moved through 2 to 3 more crises. And I'm now in this incredible phase of life that's wonderful. My children are fine. My grandchildren are fine. I'm expecting a new grandchild. Just got the news. So,
That's awesome.
yes, amazing blessings coming my way. And I know that this too won't last. And this is what I told myself when things were at the worst, was something my mom would always say to me, this too shall pass. And I would roll my eyes because it was one of those, sure, Mom. Well, she couldn't have been more right, because whatever you're going through, it's going to be different in
Yeah.
5 minutes, in an hour, in a day, in a week. It might get worse, but it won't stay like this. And I'm
Amen.
telling myself that now, because now everything is glorious and wonderful, and I'm well, and my family is all well, and people like the book, which is shocking. I don't know if you went through that as authors. You know, you put it out there,
Yes, yes.
and people say I was moved, and you're like, what? But you know, it's a great period of time, and I know this won't last either. You know, but other
That's
things
awesome.
will happen, but I feel like I'm stronger, and have some tools right now that are going to help me go through whatever life
Oh,
brings
yeah.
my way.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Amazing. That's
So
amazing.
the title of your book is By Accident, a Memoir of Letting Go. And oftentimes when authors sit down to write their memoir, they may have a theme or they may just want to share a story. Which came first for you, to share your story, or was it let it go was the theme after the events of your book?
After this period of time, this 10-year period, I felt like I had a book, but I also had to try to narrow down my focus, because
Mhm.
having lost my siblings early, and I don't know, who am I to say it was early? It was exactly when it was supposed to be, I suppose. But in any case, they have children and grandchildren, and I wanted to share stories. I wanted to go on record with,
Mhm.
this is how we grew up. These were the values. This is what it was about, and you should know where you come from.
Right.
And I had this crazy career in radio, in jazz radio, and then in rock radio,
Mhm.
at a very special moment in time. And so I have stories. So initially, I tried to do too much with the book and have
Sure.
all of that in there. And then it became clear over time, once I began working on it, that really what I wanted to do was share these lessons, these
Yeah.
learnings, because I know there are a lot of other women out there who can't do enough, who think they're only as good as their performance or their output or their list of
Yeah.
Mhm.
accomplishments. And that's, we're good because we're good. We're good because of who we are, not because of what we do,
Amen.
Mhm.
or how we do
Absolutely.
it, right? How we do it is
Mhm.
important. And so I thought that was my greatest legacy, was to share that, and then sort of weave in stories about how I grew up, and
Mhm.
really try to write about my mother, my father, my sister, and my brother, all of whom were very incredible people in their own ways, and taught me so much about how to live a meaningful life.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I have to say, I loved how you wrote it. I loved how you just jumped right in and then you took us back a little bit, went back to it and then you stepped back to share about your family, about everyone. How was that writing process for you? Because obviously you went through a lot of painful periods, whether it was emotional or physical. I know at one point you talked about journaling. How do you keep all that together and then sit
Um,
down and write it?
yeah, well, first of all, I had to learn the craft of writing a memoir, because I'd always been a writer, but never this kind of writer.
Mhm.
And I didn't know how to really bring you into a scene. I didn't know how to really write
Sure.
dialogue, or how to do the structure of past to present and bringing you back and forth. I mean, I had one literary, sort of trick that I was able to do, because I was lying in bed for so much of the time recovering, that I used that time to have a reflection. So that
Sure.
would allow me to take you back in time and then
Mm.
bring you back to the present. But it was excruciating to relive
Yeah.
those memories, and to try to bring those feelings, that fear, the trauma, all the different experiences, to be able to recreate that so that a listener could feel it too. I mean,
Mhm.
a reader. I'm so used to radio, I call everything listeners. Um, a reader could connect with it and find some piece to relate to.
Sure.
That's really the goal, is for everybody to see themselves in your story, I think.
Mhm. No,
Mhm.
and I think you did a great job.
Absolutely.
Thank
Um,
you, Ruth.
Absolutely.
So this is your first book. Have you ever imagined yourself as an author? I know you said you used
No.
you'd write. No?
I mean, yes and no. Yes,
Yeah.
in my fantasy
Oh,
world,
okay.
but I joke that I have the attention span of a flea. I mean, radio was perfect for me because every half hour it was another
Uh-huh.
newscast. When I did features, they were 1 minute long. I can wrap my brain around 1 minute, but
Uh-huh.
hundreds of pages and rewriting and listening to editors and trusting that everyone has my best interests at heart and they
Mhm.
know better than I know about how to make this better. Yeah, I can't believe I finished a project of this size and magnitude. I don't think I have to do another one, do I?
Not unless you want to. You know what? You can
You
be a one-hit wonder. You've done enough. You've done enough. You've been through
Ladies,
enough.
I
You've
am
done enough.
turning 70 in
Oh my
February.
God.
Wow.
Right. So I retired from my job,
Right.
but then I replaced it with, essentially like a 3/4 time job, right?
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a little bit chill, but really, I mean, this requires a lot. And
Oh, it does.
I'm being my own publicist, so I'm doing all that. And I keep thinking, don't I get to at some point just kind of, I don't know, read books and take naps? And
know,
I like
no.
Squeeze those in between. So it's like being a new mother. You take a nap when they're taking a nap. You just fit it in where you can.
Yeah.
So,
That's it. I don't you remember that time when they would finally fall asleep and you would go, wait a minute, do I do the laundry? Do I take a
yes.
bath? Do I take a nap? Do I get some thank you notes done? Like I would panic and then
take a nap. That's how I learned to take a nap.
Get those naps in when you can. They are essential.
I took one today. We hosted a dinner party last night. We had 8 people and we were dancing. We were
Oh,
playing 70s dance party music.
there you go.
And I woke up and we finished the cleanup and I went right back to bed.
There you go.
Good for you.
You do it. That's how you do it. So, I don't want to hog up all the time, so I'm going to send you over to Andrea. She will have some questions or so. I'm going to lead you in what's next.
Well, actually, I want to hear Joanne. We talked about this in the beginning. There's some things that I want to say, but I want to make sure that we have enough time to have her read.
Yes.
And I think she had already picked out the part that she wanted to read, and I want her to do that. I want her to do that. I know that Ruth was saying the beginning. I mean, the beginning of the book just kind of takes you. It just takes you right in. And
Yep.
I found myself sitting there saying, "Oh my goodness, oh my goodness," because you have a wonderful way of pulling the person into that scene and into that place in your story, regardless of whether it was the accident. I found myself sitting there with you and Max. I thought, when he first came to you about what he wanted to do, and I thought, oh, this is wonderful. I love this, So with all of that and all of the things and the way that you have crafted this memoir is just really amazing. And there's so many good points that we can bring out, but we don't always get to hear the author. And that's what I want us to have, that ability tonight, because I tell you, when they tell you about a big smile and hope, lady, you got that. You got that.
Thank you so much. Well, I want to tell you that Rex and Blair have now been married. It'll be 10 years in November.
Wow.
That's awesome.
They have 2 children
Awesome.
who are incredible. And yeah. And I also want to say the book is available as an audiobook. So I read the whole book.
Oh, good.
You do it.
Awesome.
Oh, yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's another choice, is to listen to the book. So this is the beginning of chapter 2. In chapter 1, I am absolutely hit by a car, and my husband meets me at the emergency room, and I say, I'm sorry. And I say, I'm sorry because it's the phone call he should never have had to get. His parents
Right.
were killed by a drunk driver in 1962. They were both 38 years old. He was the youngest of 3 children. He was 7 years old. And for him to get a call that I had been hit by a car
Right.
as a
Yeah.
pedestrian.
Right.
Okay, so the beginning of chapter 2 gives you a little foreshadowing of what the rest of the book is like, and that's what I'll read from now. Being hit by a car is not my first blow, although it's probably the most literal, and it won't be my last. But it will be a catalyst for me, a sudden graphic stop to my constantly in motion existence, my need to produce and achieve to feel worthy of love, my need to control everything because I've believed that it would make me safer. It will be the test that finally teaches me that my needs are masks and that control is an illusion. I've had plenty of opportunities, losses, hard ones, to learn to let go, but I grieved my losses and went right back to my old ways. The accident has stripped me, made me totally dependent on others, put cracks in my bones, and revealed cracks in my armor. I can't go back to my old ways, not easily anyway. Over time, and through a series of other physical and emotional challenges, I will discover that losing control can be the best way to truly gain it. Letting go means letting in light, revealing my real power, and finally, feeling that deep sense of peace that I'd been desperate to find.
Oh,
Yes. Yes.
oh boy.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, yes.
Amazing.
I wanted
And I
to.
don't want to, I just don't want to imply that everything is perfect and that, I have all the answers. We are all works in progress.
Amen.
Always.
Amen.
But it's a matter of knowing what it is that we need to tell ourselves. I think that we talk to ourselves all the time, and all too often we give ourselves messages that don't serve us.
Right.
How many of you have ever said, "Who do you think you are?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think you're doing?" Right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think it's pretty universal. And what I learned is if you can continue to tell yourself, in my case, I can do it. I can do it. This will pass. This moment will pass. I will not always be in this pain. I will not always have flashbacks that feel like I can never cross a street again or get in a car or any of it. I didn't believe it at the beginning, but if you keep telling yourself something, it's almost like we're programmable, right?
Yeah.
And the messages eventually become a part of your thinking.
Mhm.
So
I want
I
you
love
to, and I know I want to, I'm trying to watch time to Joanne. I know we want to get into you sharing some other lessons that you learned, but I want you to talk about the therapy because that's something that I had never heard of.
so there are different kinds of therapy that are specifically geared to help people who've been have been experienced trauma, and trauma can come in all sorts of forms, as we know.
Mhm.
And I came to understand because my friend's daughter was this type of a therapist, and she was telling me about it. And she said a lot of times trauma lodges in the body. It's a psychological response, but it can lodge in the body. And this particular kind of therapy, called somatic therapy, tries to address that so that you don't have a place in your body where the trauma is lodged. And my very first session with the somatic therapist, do you want me to share what happened?
Please.
Yeah.
So at that session, she got me real comfortable and almost in like a meditative, very calm state. And I was to imagine that I was stepping off the curb, but that there was a bubble around me of protection so that I would be safe. And she wanted me to turn to the right. I had explained that the car that caused the accident had been coming from the right. And she said, "Now turn your head to the right." And I tried to turn my head to the right, and my neck would not do it. And I had my eyes closed. My eyes popped open. I said, "There's nothing wrong with my neck. My neck isn't injured, and I can turn to the left, but I can't turn to the right." And she smiled in this very calm way, and she said, "That's why you're here." By the end of the session, you're going to be able to look to the right.
Oh,
And sure enough, I had already lodged some of that trauma, so I didn't have to see the danger that was coming at me.
to the right. Wow.
That's amazing. That's amazing. There's so much in the book. It is a story, but it is a story on so many different levels and so many different things. And the way that you handled each of the situations that you went through, the growth, the progress, the recovery, all of those stages, it is wonderful. It is wonderful. And I just want to get that said before Miss Victoria comes in and tells everybody to get the book. Because
Book,
that's what
that's
she
right. Go ahead and say it. Get the book.
Get the book. But Victoria, I'm going to turn it over to you. Maybe Joanne can tell us a little bit more about those lessons.
Get the book. That's the first thing I'm gonna say is get it. It is a wonderful book. I appreciate it so much about the book. First of all, we didn't get a chance to say hi to Fred, but you tell Fred we say hello.
Yes.
Some people have told me it's a love letter to Fred.
Yes, yes. Everybody needs a Fred if they're going to get hit by a car.
Look, they just need a
Oh,
Fred
even if
period.
they're not.
Yes.
He was so amazing, and I love to see that. That was one of the things that really resonated with me. And another thing was the relationship with your children. Did that get any better because of the accident, you think? And I think where I'm going is the fact that you learn to let go with the kids and let them make their own decisions and stuff. And that's something that parents have a hard time dealing with, period. Do you think that the accident helped you learn to let go with the children?
There was a whole other big chapter that happened way later with Danny where we needed to really get some distance. We were too enmeshed, and
Okay.
I don't know if. No, I think I'm still learning that. It's so hard. I recently wrote an essay that is going to be on my podcast in this story about how our roles change.
Yes.
As we're their manager when they're little.
Yeah.
They're teenagers, you become their consultant.
Yeah.
And when they're adults, there's, basically zip it. Wait to be asked.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's
is very
right.
true.
So I'm learning, and it's a constant, it is a constant effort
Yeah.
to learn to just respect their choices and, be available to help and give. But that's our role, right?
Right.
As parents of adult children, is not to judge. And
I love that. So do you think you got closer to them because, during that time, or, how is your relationships now?
it great.
Yeah.
I think that with Max, him becoming a father has really changed things. I think, it takes becoming a parent to understand parents and what they go through, and the kind of love that unbelievable love and attachment. So I think that's made a big difference. Also, both my sons are married to incredible women, strong women who've done the work, right?
Yeah.
They know who they are. And so my life is enriched by all of them all the time. They all live in Los Angeles, and I live north of San Francisco. So I am back and forth all the time.
Okay, good.
But they're close with each other. They're spending a lot of time
That's
together,
good.
which is
Oh,
great.
that's great.
That's good.
That's great.
And please tell Blair I like her too. She knew at 15 what she wanted to do.
You don't mess with Blair.
No.
Y'all got to get the book to read about Miss Blair. And my other question is, you were very open in the book about some things that you went through. In college, your anorexia. Well, I'm not going to talk about it too much. How was that? Did your family know about it before you wrote it? They did?
Yeah, and it was tricky. My sons both said, this is your story. So even if you write about us, We may change our names. So the names that you're saying may or may not be the actual names of my children.
Okay.
Although
Okay,
just
that's okay.
But it's your story. You write it, and we are not going to censor anything about it.
Right.
Yeah, I gave up privacy long ago. I have no secrets, really.
Right.
I didn't spill everything, but I
Right.
spilled plenty, right?
Right.
Also, though, if my mom and dad and sister and brother were still alive, I don't know if I could have been as free to write about them in the ways
Because it was
that I
about
did.
them. Yeah. That I thought that was quite interesting. And I think my last question is: you survived the hurricane too, and we all survived Hurricane Fran here. Child, that was something.
Right? And it goes on and like earthquakes where I live, it's like this, it's over, you're done. But that hurricane, and then I thought it was over.
Right.
And Fred said, no, it's the eye.
Yes.
He goes, it's coming back. I'm like, what?
Fools you. It tricks you.
Yes.
Definitely tricks you.
Oh, I just wanted to bring that to the to listeners and viewers' attention. How your story just spans so much, and there's so much packed into this book. So I thank you for writing it. I thank you for your lessons because it really resonated with me, and it's just a beautiful book. You guys got to get it. Please show us the book. Can you show us what it looks like?
Absolutely. Here's the book, By Accident: A Memoir of Letting Go. Oh, it's I'm tipping it the wrong way. There.
That's okay. There you go.
There.
That's what it looks like.
There it is. That's what it looks like.
Will you tell our listeners and viewers how they could get in touch with you if they wanted to? And
yeah, I would love
that. Book.
I would love that. My website is Joanne, just like my name, except there's an R. No, hang on. Forget that. There is an R, but it's not in my website. My website is joanne-green.com. Very simple. Gotcha. My email is joannergreen@gmail.com. And I would love to hear from your listeners. I will answer every email.
That's right.
Really, I just am thrilled. And if you like the whole my kind of shtick, you know that word shtick?
Yeah.
So it's the podcast is like 5 minutes max each episode. They're 3 to 5 minutes, and they're just like a little piece of something, a story, and they're fun. So
that's awesome.
Good. That is awesome. Thank you once again for just being here, and you have shown us all. And once again, nobody can tell a story like the author can, and it's so great to hear you talk about the book after having read it. It's just a good book. You guys got to get it.
I got to come visit you guys. Where are you in North Carolina?
Raleigh.
Yes.
Okay,
I do want to say this before we close. The book is titled By Accident, and we have talked about the accident that Joanne went through and the process and all of those things. But I want to tell you, don't think that that's the end of the story.
Right.
There is so much more in this book in terms of Joanne's life, in terms of things that happened, crisis kinds of things that happened after the accident, and the things that she had to go through to get to this place where she is today. Mm-hmm. So don't sit there and think, oh yeah, I heard about the accident. You got to get this book, find out what happened after the accident. Because
definitely
a lot that we did not get to share tonight that is going to be essential for you to put in your life journey bag.
Yes. Amen.
I cannot thank you guys enough. This has just been absolutely delightful.
Well, thank you, Joanne. Thank you. This has been good evening to you, Paula and Nikayetta and everybody else out there.
And Angie, I saw her.
Yeah, didn't get to call your names, but we thank you for being here. It is always a joy to be able to have an author on, and to have an author that has the type of story that Joanne has and the attitude that she has, and just joy. I see joy, Joanne. I really do. And I know that you've been through a lot. But to be able to come through with that big fat smile and to be able to
And a heap of
share
hope.
way that you
People, yeah.
with a heap of hope. I tell you what, you're an amazing lady, and we thank you so much
Yes.
for being willing to come on and to share with Authors Up tonight. Thank you, lady. We're hats off.
Thank you. And I wish you all the best in your
Thank you.
journeys.
Thank you to you.
That is it. That is it. Ruth, do you have any? Well, let me go back. Joanne, is there any final word that you want to leave with our listeners, other than I can do it, because I'm holding on to that one? But is there anything else?
Well, yeah, you asked me what I learned, so I made a list, and I'm just going to ram through it really quickly. I don't need to rush through life. I am more comfortable and feel safer at an adjusted pace. It's not just about how much I accomplish in a day, but how I do what I do that matters. I never regret taking time to spread joy, and that means interacting with children and patting every dog who will let me. I have to accept that people are different than me, with varying needs for privacy and intimacy. While I don't want to be known as the woman who had that terrible accident, I don't mind being known as the woman whose positive attitude carried her through. And finally, good health is neither a given nor a right. Each pain-free moment is a miracle.
Amen.
And my job is to continue to feel gratitude and carefully consider what I am going to do with the precious time I have.
All right.
Oh, that's awesome.
Man, beautiful.
I want to print that out and put it on.
Amen.
I can read it every day.
Yeah.
I mean, those are wonderful.
Yes.
Oh, thank you, Joanne, and thank you for not forgetting to go back to that part, because that is really wonderful. Just really wonderful. Ruth, I know that you have some closing comments for us always.
Always. So we want to thank all our viewers tonight, all our listeners who download our podcast, anyone who watches us on YouTube or SIBN. We are grateful. We are here because of you. If you are interested in hearing, if you have any questions, you have any comments, you want to be on the show, shoot us an email at authorsup@gmail.com, and make sure you follow us on social media. Look for Authors Up Show on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
That's a mouthful, but Ruth gets it done every week. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for being with us. Those who joined in tonight, those who have shared the broadcast this evening. And remember that this will be replayed on Saturday at 7 p.m. So if you did not get a chance to stay on for the whole broadcast tonight, or if you know of someone who would really benefit from hearing Joanne and hearing about her story before they get the book, be sure to let them know as well. And they can come back and listen on Saturday at 7. That is it for Authors Up for tonight. I tell you, it's been a joy, Joanne. Again, thank you for being with us. This is a great place to be at 7 p.m. on Sunday evening.
Don't
So
know.
guys, come on back next week. I would love to tell you what we're going to do, but I don't know. So you're going to learn as we learn. I'm sure Ruth has lined up a great guest for us, and we're going to be able to share their story with you next week as well. So thank you. Remember, you never, ever know what's going to happen on Authors Up. So be sure to come back and join us next week, 7 p.m. right here on ALH Broadcasting. That's it for us. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Good night, Bronze Girls.